Hello and welcome to the Cheshire Taylor League podcast. I'm your host Lane, as with me as always, the commish and co-host Sam. What's going on there in the background, dude?
Just my pager went off. It's not a fire. It's just they do a test every Monday. So.
Okay. Way to start us off.
What?
Way to start us off.
I know. Job stuff already.
Well, what can you do? But, we've had a couple interesting weeks in fantasy, especially for the Vikings and real football talk. Were you thinking Super Bowl before this week, Sam?
Yeah, I was on the PA bandwagon. I'm like, where does this first loss come from? I don't see it. I don't see any team that can beat us. And then, boy, was I brought back down to earth.
Yeah, that happened pretty quickly. Everyone is kind of shocked, and obviously we turned the ball over way too much. It's not going to happen every time, but that was ugly when Cordero Patterson's your star player.
Man, that was just a bad game. And you know what? I hope it's what we're capable of, but I hope that's not indicative of the type of team that can beat us, because there are a few teams that have good pass rushes and could really make Sam uncomfortable if we faced them in the playoffs. So that was not pretty, but hopefully it was just kind of one of those perfect storm games.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I hate seeing the Packers at 4-2. The stinking Cowboys are 5-1 too. I'm not as afraid of them because they don't have the pass rush, but still, it's not looking so rosy anymore. So,
what do you think? Was it a Mark Wahlberg and George Clooney type situation in Philadelphia, or is that the new norm?
I think that it's bringing us back down to reality a little bit. Not like night and day, but I think it's bringing everything more back to what did they say? The regress to the mean. I think that's what it did. So I don't think we were not a Super Bowl team, but I think all those turnovers that we'd never had for the last 5 games, we kind of made up for that. So
it's a perfect loss in week 6. Or week 7 or whatever it is. You want this loss now. You don't want this right before the playoffs. You don't want it in the playoffs, obviously.
Yeah, let Zimmer be pissed. That's when he coaches the best, And I think the players got cocky. They felt good over a bye week, lost their concentration, and voila, the Eagles just blitzed the league like crazy. You couldn't pick it up. I mean, this is just Searles, Jake Long, and Clemmings. They didn't look bad, but the guards looked bad. The only person on offense that looked good was Cordell Patterson and Joe Berger. Fusco kind of sucks. What's the deal now? What's the update with your sis and Fusco?
I think they're going steady. I think this is, and what makes me mad is she's been going out with Brandon Fusco. She's hanging out with Jarvis Wright. She meets all these Vikings players. Yet I still haven't been to US Bank Stadium.
I'd be delirious. I'd be so mad at her.
I'm very angry. But nonetheless, we didn't come here to talk Vikings, Lane.
Yeah, we did come to talk a little bit of football. So, as far as for fantasy, how are you feeling with your team so far? You had a really good week this week. And by the way, we're recording this Monday night, so we don't know a few of the final touches, but pretty much the only game that's got a shot of going either way is between me and G-Dog. So, everything that's pretty much set in stone. But your team's looking pretty solid. You and Volk, good Lord. Man,
that was one of the most fun fantasy weeks I've ever had, because it was just utter dominance from the beginning, and every player did well. It was never in doubt, really. It was just like bam, 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 bam. It's one of those weeks where afterwards you feel like you are the smartest fantasy owner. You feel like you have conquered the world, only to have next week everything seem to be going right, and then score 45 points. It's bound to happen.
Yeah, you didn't really have anyone on bye this week, did you?
No.
Okay, that helps.
All my wide receivers are still hurt, but Jacquizz Rodgers has been a revelation. I appreciate him very much.
Gotta appreciate the jizz, man. Gotta make sure it's going. You cannot. That's how babies are born. I think we all appreciative of jizz, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. It was a rough week for you, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, you could say that. Charles didn't even touch the ball. He played 2 snaps. Gillisley got the ball 4 times. Didn't play Sneed. Sneed did all right. Marvin Jones, Antonio Brown, consistent. But yeah, I need Lamar to score like 13 to get me. Between me and Grant, this is a pivotal point because both our teams are kind of on the downswing right now. Obviously.
That's true.
So whoever is kind of the lousiest of the best and the best of the lousiest. That's pretty much what we got going on right now. So we're both 4-2. It's a big night tonight. I'll be watching the game, hoping that Lamar can do what he did last week and win me another game. So we'll see what happens. Definitely not over yet. I had some data. Sam, are you going to post this on the management page?
Yeah, when I do the rankings, hopefully this week I'll post it.
Okay, so I got this chart of all this data that I got together for you guys, and I've been keeping league data. 2 years in my old league, and then this year in Sam's league, and a couple interesting things I just wanted to bring out. Hi, Luna. A couple things to bring out is that the league average right now is 82.3 points. So that's the 500 mark, where if you score more than 82.3 points in a week, you should win. If you score less, then you should lose. And then I took I did all the data entry. I put in who had what as far as on their team and how many points they scored each week. And then I had adjusted win-loss compared to the average. And what we found out is there's been some really lucky teams this year. Like extremely lucky. And I'm going to start with the worst teams. Kyle and Jordo. Kyle and Jordo should be 0-6. They should be winless. They should not. They both have 2 wins when they should actually have nothing. So, kind of interesting. Another thing that's I put in there is the variance percentage. So, kind of when you're looking at that for you guys, that's the likelihood that you're going to score your average relatively close to which you're averaging. So, Sam, you're one of the more consistent teams. Your variance percentage is only 83%. Your average is about 85.4, so you can really expect to be close to that every single week. Now, that's a good and a bad thing. Obviously, you're over 500, but your team has not shown tons of upside. It showed pretty consistency. Now, if you look at a team like myself, who is at 83.5, I have a 48% variance percentage, which, could mean that I'm good. I score really high or really low, though. I'm much less consistent than you. So, interesting how you can look at that, and that's what those numbers mean for everyone to take a look at. But when you look at the data, it really shows the teams that I think are going to be there at the end. And we've kind of been able to see it, but there really only is 7 teams that got a shot. And yes, bye weeks will happen, and numbers will differentiate and get week 7 through 11. But it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. You got any questions on the chart, Sam?
I guess it's more personal. Would you rather have a team that, well, let's just take our teams, for example. So you're averaging 83.5 points. I'm averaging 85.5 points. So not too much different. But it appears my team is a lot more consistent. Would you rather have the team that can score a ton of points and hope you get lucky in the playoffs where you get 2 weeks in a row where your team goes off, or would you rather have the consistent 80 to 90 points every week?
I think if you're above 85 points, you want that consistency.
Okay.
If you're kind of where I'm at, I guess I would rather have the variance. I mean, you're not going to win. You're less likely to win a Super Bowl or the championship with an inconsistent team, right? You have 3 weeks that you have to go back to back to back, solid weeks.
Yep.
So consistency is always a higher value. That floor is always a higher value, but is 85 points enough? I mean, you've only had 1 week where you scored more than 100 points. So up until this week, obviously. So that you did great. So yes, your team's got a much higher ceiling now, and your variance will change a little bit. So you're probably at a perfect point right now. but that's kind of what's interesting about it. If you look at the team now, here's where the variance can hurt you. If you look at Jardo's team, who averages 68.9 points per week, he's actually very consistent at 65%. So being consistently low, that's a really bad sign. So he needs to do something to change that. Whether a higher risk, high reward, do something different, because that's not going to be a recipe for success. So, like Jeremy's team, 98.6 with a variance of 61. That's exactly where you want to be. That's ideal.
Because even when he's not consistently scoring, I mean, the reason that his variance is so different is because of the outliers, right? Because he has a week with 126 and a week with 115, so when he scores 87, he'd still win. But because it's so much lower than the other weeks, it counts it as not being normal, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
So if you're
that's not a bad thing at all. You can be inconsistent as long as if you score 200 or 100 points a week, it's like huge difference, but both really good, better than scoring 50 both weeks.
Correct. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
So everyone take a look at their numbers. I feel bad for Mark. Mark is the definition of why he's 2-4 at 80 points, which is just below the average win, and he's extremely consistent. He's only got between his best and his worst scoring game, he's only had 25-point differential per week. So that's an extremely consistent team. Just not enough to make it though. So
it's too bad because I feel like he kind of traded off. Like DeMarco Murray's been amazing, but that's what Allen Robinson was supposed to be, who's kind of soft. So.
But if he looks at his team and says, "Oh, Allen Robinson is coming back, I'll expect him to do better," then his team will be really good, But if Allen Robinson will improve, that's the question.
You can't overcome 0-7 though.
No, it's over. I'm interested to see what Mark does. If he just is going to try to upgrade his keepers when people get hurt, or what. I mean, you may as well now. Whatever stud gets hurt, you might as well just target with everything you got.
There's a few available. I mean, Sammy Watkins is out there still, I think. Anyone else? Did someone pick up Eddie Lacy?
I was going to keep them on the DL. I was trying to help Jardo out. But yes, Eddie Lacy is on waivers, so put in your bid for him.
Yeah, I mean, why not spend all your fab on those two guys and just see what happens in the offseason?
Pretty much. But yeah, as far as these teams, go ahead.
One final question with it: who is the best team in the league according to your data? And who's the worst?
Best team is Jeremy. Worst team is Jordan.
Okay.
No, excuse me. Worst team is Kyle.
Okay.
He's even more consistent than Jordan with the low average. So.
Gotcha. I mean, barely. They're like identical as far as averages.
Yep. Only difference is variance.
But
so.
I know Kyle had an egregious week, so his average is going to go down too.
Yep.
Okay. Well, good.
Yeah. What's interesting is Volk's team, Danny's team. Those two teams are the ones that are going to be playoff killers. I don't want to play either of them in the playoffs. Their teams
because they could put up a huge week one week. Is that why?
Exactly. Yep. Especially Volk's team. I do not want to touch them with especially Danny's team as of late. Danny's team, he's been rather unlucky. He's in the -1 adjusted win-loss. What's interesting is no one is like -2 except for Mark. Mark is the only one who's been the unluckiest so far this year. So that's obvious.
That's weird how that can happen.
Yeah.
There's only so many wins to go around. You'd think at some point it would even out, but I guess not.
Well, the mean or the average is 82.3. The actual median, where if you take a T-chart and you take all the numbers down, the median score is 79. So it's a little bit different, but the average is a more honest reflective of the 500 line. So.
All right, enough nerd time.
All right, that's enough nerd time. So, if you got any questions about your chart, I'll include Week 7 in it pretty soon, and we'll go from there and give you guys an update. But it's pretty interesting to see everyone's who's been lucky, who's unlucky, and going from there. So do you got a dark horse right now? We're halfway through the season, guys. Week 7 just passed. Do you got a dark horse, Sam?
You stole mine. I think my dark horse is Concha. I was just looking at his team, and I like Terrence West. I like Melvin Gordon, and Des Bryant's going to come back. So you look at him, if he can get a top 6 wide receiver out of Aaron Rodgers, which is definitely not out of the realm of possibility. You know what you're getting from Frank Gore. You know what you're going to get from Amari Cooper, not maybe on a week-to-week basis, but on a yearly basis. He's going to be a top 15 guy.
Yep.
And Jimmy Graham, Concha hit on his sleepers probably more than anyone.
Oh, yeah.
In the league, I'd say.
Yep.
So I consider him a dark horse to win it all. I don't think, at least I've thought of him as like a potential candidate to win it all, but I think he's got it. The problem is you get weeks like he had this week where he's projected to finish with 89 points, but he got 60 out of his top 2 players, 75 out of his top 3 players.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Like a lot of teams just have 2 or 3 studs that score really well, and the rest of the team's kind of garbage. I think that's kind of an attribute of a 12-team league, but I mean, don't you think his team is good though? I mean, even if he does have 2 or 3 studs, I feel like that's just a floor, with Graham and a lot of guys with high ceilings. I mean, that's kind of what you're expecting.
Frank Gore is perfect for his team because you're not relying on him to be a real heavy contributor. Just, hey, get your 80 yards and a touchdown every other game, and we're good.
Yep. Yeah, it's been interesting.
What do you think?
I was going to take Danny. I think you actually are the one you've kind of underestimated yourself the past few weeks. Your team is looking very, very good with Terrell Pryor coming on and being a stud. It's so fragile, though, isn't it? This 12-team league, it's just, my team looks great, and now this week I feel like garbage. I feel like I got to...
Hey, man, I felt like I was wasting David Johnson's, all-time great year about 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
I'm like, this guy's going to post a Marshall Falk, LaDainian Tomlinson type season that's going to be wasted on my fantasy team. And then all of a sudden, Mike Evans comes back, Jacquizz Rodgers does all right, A.J. Green scores, and it's like, all right, I'll take on anyone. It just changes.
Yep. Yeah, I'm kind of worried about with Volk's team. We were going to talk about him specifically. It's an interesting team because he has no wide receivers. Next week he plays me. He literally has no wide receivers that are able to play against me right now. So if you guys,
really?
it's nothing.
Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and the Rams are all on bye next week?
Yes.
Wow.
So
that's awful.
He's got Marcus Wheaton and someone else on the bench. Wheaton's out. And yeah, so if you guys pick up wide receivers off the waivers, so lesser Volk, so he has less of a chance of playing me.
Yeah, he's a fascinating case because I still am not sure how good his team is, but they always seem to produce. His sit-start decisions have been borderline masterful. I mean, Giovanni Bernard, it's like, why would you start him any week? And then he starts him and he gets 15 points. He started Jay Ajayi last week. Why on earth did he start Jay Ajayi? And he ran for 200 yards. I don't get it. But at some point, like I said earlier in the season, you have to start giving the guy credit because clearly he's pushing the right buttons. So I will give him credit. His team is doing very well. And now Gronk is back to his old self. Luck seems to be performing well.
Bernard's got a starting spot now that Hill's hurt. So yeah, his team's on the...
Hill didn't look too hurt the other day, or yesterday.
I heard he's out pretty much. Am I
Really?
misinformed? Was I misinformed?
I haven't heard that. This is shocking and this is horrible. I have to go check this right now.
Just checking. I'll talk. Yeah, a couple. I want to give a Jai some props. I'm sure you probably read this, but there's only been 5 players that have gotten back-to-back 200-yard games rushing. Can you name any of the 5?
Probably O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
Eric Dickerson.
Nope.
That's all I got.
Okay. That's all you got?
Yeah, I don't know. Not Adrian. Did Jamal Lewis ever do it?
Nope.
Sean Alexander?
Yep.
Chris Holmes?
Nope.
LaDainian Tomlinson?
LT had all-purpose 200 yards, but not rushing.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. Who else?
Ricky Williams.
Oh.
I like that guy. Gotta love a guy that, if you're gonna smoke weed, if you're gonna quit football, you might as well do it for, smoking weed. Just go all out.
Huh. Yeah. Was that it then? Do we got all 5?
Yep, it's all 5. And then I was just gonna mention too, have you ever, I think what my data fund for this week is going to see how many points have been scored by a bench. Your average bench score. Because I feel like it's really low compared to most years. I feel like usually a lot of times people don't pick the right person most weeks. And this year it seems everyone's doing a really good job picking the right people. But maybe that's just me.
I wonder if, well, I can speak for myself. I don't have any options. Like, the people on my bench are either in a heavy timeshare, a backup, or Michael Floyd, or hurt. So, I don't know. I feel like my sit-start decisions have been relatively easy all year. There's only been a few where I'm like, I don't know. But
okay. Well, do you want to play? You want to play a game?
Sure, let's play a game.
Would you rather? Dun, 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 dun. Let's start with our wide receivers. What's our wide receiver combo we're going to talk about?
It was Allen Robinson versus someone else. Who was it?
DeAndre Hopkins.
DeAndre Hopkins. Okay. So let me quick look this up. Where these two rank on the season, unless you know.
I don't. I know they're both not good.
Probably true. DeAndre Hopkins is number 23. Allen Robinson is number 32.
Okay.
So DeAndre Hopkins has 3 games over 10 points. All 3 he happened to score a touchdown. And Allen Robinson has 2 games over 10 points. One of them he scored 2 touchdowns with only 57 yards, and the other he had 55 yards and a touchdown. So both he was bailed out by touchdowns.
Okay.
Who would I rather have the rest of the season?
Correct.
I'm the least fan of A-Rob, but I got to go Robinson because I trust Blake Bortles to turn it around and target him more. I mean, it's been a Bortles problem more than anything, wouldn't you say? I don't feel like Robinson's talent is any less. I don't feel like I trust that he's getting open. I feel like Bortles just has a problem getting him there.
Yeah, Bortles has not been getting it.
When you look at Hopkins, he's got Fuller to take away targets this year, and Hoyer's a better quarterback than Osweiler is, believe it or not. So I think Hopkins will stay around that low wide receiver too, whereas Robinson will elevate himself to a wide receiver too.
Okay. I mean, the thing about you're saying about how it's Bortles' problem, yeah, even Alan Hearns is down in his production. So they're just not. The whole offense on its own is just not clicking. Um, but I don't know if they will click. They're 7 weeks into it. They are playing from behind, and they're not replicating what they did last year. So what's changed? I don't know. I haven't figured it out. With DeAndre Hopkins, we can pretty easily assume Osweiler is just not willing to throw the ball up to Hopkins in a jump ball situation. I don't think I've seen him catch a ball yet this year doing that.
Yeah, and Hopkins was a target monster last year. He lived up top.
Yep.
Whereas Allen Robinson was not. I think he just made the most of his targets. So regression was obvious for both. I think I slated both to regress a little bit to probably wide receiver 12 to 15 range. But I think Hopkins is probably where he's going to be at because I didn't factor in Will Fuller being as involved. But I think Robinson should see a spike soon.
I'd hope so. I feel bad for Mark, almost.
Well, he could have traded him all along.
He had the chance, but yeah, both of them as a keeper. I would love to have both. The keeper situation does nothing. I think they're almost identical in value long term. How long is Osweiler going to be a Texan? I mean, they paid him what, a $5 million 5-year deal
for Osweiler?
Yeah, was it 5 years?
4 years, $72 million. I think it ended up being.
Oof. So they got at least 2 more years with Osweiler at QB. Oh man. Whew. Yeah, I don't know. I think that right there makes me go Robinson. Just because even if Bortles does suck, they can bail on Bortles for very low cost. He's on his rookie contract. They can just cut him and get something new. And likelihood is the next quarterback will be better than Brock Osweiler. So there you go.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think Allen Robinson is actually a better receiver than DeAndre Hopkins, but it's close.
Yeah, they're both big-bodied, big dudes. So,
yeah,
not blaze past anyone, but possession dudes. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. It's very likely they'll just probably stay where they're at for the rest of the year, and is what it is. Well, let's go to running backs. We got our boy Jay Ajayi, who's exploded onto the scene via us in 2008. And we're going to compare him. Would you rather have Todd Gurley or Jay Ajayi?
This hurts.
I know Samson's not going to go for Ajayi because it's his brother-in-law's name. So,
yeah, and that's the funny thing is if Jordan offered Volk, Todd Gurley for Jay Ajayi, you could get probably almost anyone else on his team with Jay Ajayi for Todd Gurley. But man, I'd still stick with Gurley, I think. And you know why? It's because of his receptions, ironically. Todd Gurley had 6 receptions, I think, this week. And it seems to be more of since I traded him, ironically, it seems to be more of an integral part of his game. So he's been catching the ball, doing a little bit more in that facet. I think his weekly floor is going to be higher than Jay Ajayi's when the dust settles a little bit on this explosion he's having. But clearly, Todd Gurley doesn't have the upside that Jay Ajayi does because he's never put up a game like the last 2 that Ajayi's had.
Yeah, with the Dolphins' offense too. Have you noticed the drop in Landry's targets as soon as Ajayi's been great? Landry averages like 13 targets a game. He only got 6 the last 2. So it's
funny how quick things can change. I mean, for no reason either.
Yeah, they're no longer relying on Tannehill and him just using Landry as like their run game, and now they're completely bailing on that and plowing over people, which is a great idea because they have a great offensive line. Just pound people. But
yep, I agree, man.
So I'm gonna go in a keeper league. I would still take Gurley because I don't know how long Ajayi will last. But If it was a standard redraft league, I'm keeping Ajayi. I would trade.
Wow.
I would trade Gurley for Ajayi.
Week 7. So if I was the Gurley owner and you offered me Jay Ajayi for Todd Gurley just for this season,
Yep.
you would have to include like Rob Gronkowski probably to make that deal happen. That's how insignificant Jay Ajayi was in week 1.
That wouldn't even happen. No one would want Gronk and Ajayi. Ajayi was worth nothing. Foster was going to be the starter
That's
week
what I'm saying.
1.
Like, you couldn't move up 2 spots in the draft with Jay Ajayi. That's how insignificant he was.
I know. Shows you how important drafting is. We get why Volk did drafted all running backs and no wide receivers. I mean, he's had a great team, and Mike Wallace and Tavon Austin have been, magically delicious.
0 wide receiver.
Zero wide.
It's going to be the strategy next year.
Yeah, I guess everyone just take running backs till they're dead in the, But I don't. It's an inch. I know Ajayi's not going to get 200 yards every week, but at home with that offensive line, Ajayi I think will be a top 10 running back easy. Gurley, I don't know if that's going to be the case. What is Gurley ranked right now?
Well, is that all we had on the agenda today?
Yeah, that's about it. I don't got too much more. We were going to talk about some quarterbacks, but I kind of forgot. Oh, if you're going to be a streaker, Alex Smith or Mariota.
We're going streaking.
Streaking.
Man, if I'm picking up a quarterback, which I will probably have to this week, I like the weekly upside. I don't want my quarterback to poop the bed, I go Alex Smith.
I would too. Yeah, I'm going high floor. I mean, let's say they're both at home, and they're both playing an average defense.
And not that Alex Smith is a world beater and isn't capable of pooping the bed, because obviously he is. He has done it. But Mariota is bound to come back to earth one of these weeks, and I don't want it to be the week that I start him.
No.
So, all right, dude.
All right, man.
Good talking to you.
Yeah, you too. Sorry for the delay, guys. The last 2 weeks have been slacking, really busy lives, as you all have busy lives too, and we hope you take a listen and go from there. So
we still need more guests on the show.
Yeah, it's hard when we don't even know what day it's going to be. So
yeah.
I would like to talk to Volk.
Any shout outs we need to do?
Shout outs.
Since our last podcast, Jared survived another hurricane, so that's good.
He is a survivor. The tribe has spoken, and he's the best. A shout out to Asher and Brittany, their household. They're moving to Atlanta November 1st. So,
Wow.
yeah. He gone. What else do we got going on here? Anything else? I don't think. Yeah, pretty uneventful.
No, over under one engagement this fantasy season.
Well, we got Colin Ward already.
Well, I was thinking more in the fantasy league.
Well, potential people to be engaged are Jeremy, Jordan, and Mark. Ooh, this season. Ooh, scandalous. So the over.
Meditate on that one. Maybe next week we'll discuss.
So the over under is 0.5 then. I'm guessing, right?
It can't be 1 because it's got to be 0.5.
Okay. Well, maybe we should make that. We should make it a poll.
I'm hearing positive things coming from the Hurdler camp that things are looking good.
Yeah, Mark is really turning his life around.
Mark, he's drinking. He's
I'm just kidding.
studious. He is.
Anyways, just making fun of him.
He's
But
an elite Bible mind all of a sudden.
and Jordan has the money to just like go over to Europe and meet some Italian bird and shag her rotten. And
You know what? I met someone in service who he said he speaks Spanish, or he doesn't speak Spanish. His wife speaks Spanish, and neither of them spoke the other language for like 30 years.
what?
And he said it's the best relationship I could ever imagine. And I was like, well, I mean,
You must really have to.
90% of communication is nonverbal, so they talked about everything they need. It wasn't that wife doesn't talk kind of thing. It was they communicated everything they needed to communicate, and it was beautiful.
That is gorgeous. I mean, you have to communicate with your eyes. Let's have intercourse. You don't need to say anything. Sometimes you just have your eyes closed.
Could woo anyone without a word.
Yeah.
In fact, sometimes words might get in the way of him wooing.
Less is more, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go for 3 for 3. That'd be wonderful. Unless their women turn out to be awful, evil human beings.
In the next 10 weeks, that would be a stretch, but who knows? I'm cheering for everyone.
Woohoo! All right.
Well, I gotta go to the gym.
Okay, have fun, get lit, and I'll see you on the flippity flop. See you guys.
Bye.